At this time, we'll call to order the regular meeting of the Board of Commissioners for Stokes County at 2:08 p.m. At this time, if you will please stand for the invocation given by Commissioner Mendenhall.
Almighty gracious Heavenly Father, we come to you on this beautiful day you've given us. Father, we thank you for each and every person that is here for our meeting today. And for all the people that is watching online, we say thank you for being a part of this meeting. Father, we ask that you continue to bless our country and that you are able to enlighten each and every person that is getting ready to take office in January. Father, we thank you for all the work the commissioners have done in my 8 years of service. And I pray for them for guidance and leadership in the future. And as we go into today's meeting, I ask that you put your hands on this meeting and bless each and every person here. Give them a safe journey home. All of these things I ask in thy precious name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we take a vote on approval of the agenda, if I'll ask Commissioner Mendenhall to make a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to add one thing to the agenda, and that is to put it in discussion, and I'll be presenting some information on it. That is the appointment of a commissioner to the Forsyth Tech Board of Trustees. Since this will be my last meeting, once y'all get Wayne sworn in next Monday, and it will be in your hands to make the appointment.
Okay, got to get a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Better be added to it.
Motion, we approve the agenda with the addition of the discussion item.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay. At this time now, we will go to public comments. Do you have any? No? Okay. Okay, we'll go to our comments with our Board of Commissioners and our County Manager. You want to start, Commissioner Mendenhall, since it's your day?
Do you mind if I take maybe 10 or 15 minutes?
You can do whatever you want.
Thank you. This will not be an hour-long deal.
You want me to hold your coat?
I know the last time I walked down here, y'all all probably went to sleep on me when I got through. But, I won't do that. But I missed the meeting, and I do have I don't usually write speeches. When I was principal and superintendent, now commissioner, I think everybody knows I speak off the cuff. I speak from my heart, and that's why I never need a written speech. However, I didn't want to miss anything today with being my last meeting. So my wife came up, I was at the kitchen bar this morning taking notes. I think it sort of surprised her because I could speak in front of, when I was superintendent of the school system, I could speak in front of our 1,000 teachers and assistants with no notes because I knew what needed to be said, and I didn't like reading. I like speaking without maybe missing a word here or there. I did want to say two things on Veterans Day that I missed that meeting, and then I'm going to hit and talk about our governmental employees and how fortunate I've been to be here for the last 8 years to be a part of serving this county. I don't think there's a better county anywhere than Stokes County, and I don't think we have any counties that can compare to our people here that works for us. And I'll get into that briefly. But I always talked about on Veterans Day, and I know Commissioner Morris has heard me every year, I think, almost. Brad and Keith probably only once or twice now, and Sonia has, but I always talked about my dad. And my dad fought in the Korean War. He was in the Army, and he probably saved hundreds of lives one time. They were being overrun in the Korean War by North Korea and the Chinese group. And, my dad gave me all of his military stuff before he passed away. He's been, actually, tomorrow is he died on November the 26th. And so, sort of a special day in a lot of ways. He's been passed now about 12, 13 years. But he, on his headstone, it reads corporal now. And what he did, he told me he didn't ever tell my other two brothers. One of my brothers has passed. But he said to make sure I took care of it. And I had, he won the Bronze Star and for his heroism in that action. Because they were able, communications was down, and he was able to, they asked him to try to get to the place and reconnect communications so they could get an airstrike, which they did, which saved his company. And I brought it with me because, you know, so sometimes people get up here and talk and you hear them speak, but you never, you know, sometimes you wonder, are they just saying that, or are they just blowing smoke? But I had Frank Duncan over here. Frank does all mine, my wife's framing. Frank and I have been friends for many years. And he always does a great job. So I had this frame for my mother, and it was sort of funny. I went by and I said, Mom, well, I didn't even say anything. She was sitting in a chair, and Lindy went in the house with me, my wife, and I started taking it off the wall. Mom looked at me and said, where are you taking my shadow box? And I said, Mom, just going to take it and show it for just 30 seconds at a commissioner's meeting, and I'll promise you, Mom, I'll bring it right back after the meeting. It's almost like she was afraid I was taking it away from her. But I had two of the maintenance workers bring it up for me. But, you know, sometimes you can say things, but when you see it in life, let's see if I can get it up here.
Some help.
That's my dad, back in the Korean War, and the certificate that reads about how he was awarded the Bronze Star, and the Bronze Star is in the middle. And the bullet underneath the Bronze Star, he got a 21 gun salute at his funeral. And they gave each of his sons the bullets from the 21 gun salute. So I had Frank to frame that in there also. And then, of course, the flag. And so that is it. And my dad taught me a lot of things about life. And he had a lot of common sense. That's missing in parts of the world today, common sense. But my dad, you know, I grew up on a tobacco farm. First primings were not fun. But my dad, I'll tell you, he was a very ethical man. And I think I can read that, and then I'm going to move on to something else because I don't want to take up too much time with this.
Fine.
But it says, the United States of America, to all who shall see these presents, greeting. This is to certify that the President of the United States of America authorized by Executive Order February 4th, 1944, has awarded the Bronze Star Medal to Private First Class James R. Mendenhall, U.S. 53082-742 Infantry, for heroism in ground combat, Korea, June the 21st, 1952, given under my hand in the city of Washington this 23rd of October, 1952, Adjutant General Far East Command and the Secretary of War of the Army. And I thought it was rather ironic. God works in mysterious ways. It says, for heroism in ground combat in Korea on June 21st, 1952. I was born on June 21st, 1956. My dad got this for his heroism on June 21st, 1952, the same day I was born. I always thought that was rather ironic. And that it happened on the same day of my birthday. And it just has always been sort of, I don't know the right, what do you say, adjective or adverb or what. I didn't teach English when it comes to this. So I taught a lot of courses, social studies, U.S. history, biology, had a minor in biology, but just the coincidence of him getting that, doing that on June 21st, same day I was born, 4 years old. I thought that was very, I wanted everybody to see that, with this being my last meeting. And Rick, you won't have to listen to me say that again the next year on Veterans Day. I know you have heard it now for 7. This is my 8th year as I finish up.
Good stuff.
I want to speak to our employees, and I can speak off my heart better, but I can read fast, so I won't take up too much of our time. I know we don't like to extend meetings too long, but I don't think it'll take but
We got all day into the evening.
okay. Yeah, can everybody hear me okay back there? It's been an honor to serve all the citizens and constituents of Stokes County for the past 8 years as your county commissioner. My firm belief when I was elected to this position in 2016 was to serve the entire county, all areas of the county, because my thought process was the meaning of these words, of these 3 words, Stokes County Commissioner. I truly believe that I can say that I did succeed in that goal. There have been so many accomplishments that has helped our county tremendously over the last 8 years. These have resulted due to a team effort from our employees, to volunteers, to citizens, and to our Board of Commissioners. I dare not try to list them all, for I know I would miss some. However, a few things that pop in my mind are the following. A new EMS station in Wanaco with the land that was donated by David and Susan Meekum. A variety of new equipment for the EMS department. The new jail. The new Board of Elections. Beginning construction of the expansion of the courthouse. Maintenance of a good working relationship with our public safety departments, including the Sheriff's Department, 911 Communications, the Fire Marshal's Office, and the fire departments, the Health Department, Social Services. The way we were able to utilize and use our ARP monies to help with the opioid epidemic, working with the Northwest communities, with the land which was donated by Mark Black, new green box sites in Pinnacle and Walnut Cove, and revamping the green box site on Sizemore Road, promotion of economic development investments countywide, while at the same time keeping our natural heritage and beauty of our county. Not forgetting our farmers and their importance. The future new animal shelter. Increasing new technology in many departments in our county government that was needed. Redoing our salary pay scale for our employees, both full-time and part-time. Increasing both the capital and current monies allotted to the school system. After all, the children are our future. Hospital negotiations ongoing, and many, many more. I couldn't name them all. There's just no way in the past 8 years. I'd have to get out. It would have taken Amber a week probably to go back for 8 years of what all we've done. Those are some of the things that and I'm not eliminating any. That's why I'm putting new technology in a lot of departments. We've improved so many, and our employees have helped with that. Just like today with Brandon here as registered deeds. He's put in so much new technology in that department. I mean, and I could go down to every department and say the same thing. I've worked with 5 different county managers. Commissioner Morse, Jake Oakley, Shannon Shaver, Amber Brown, and now our new county manager, Jeff Sandberg. Jeff, I'm sorry I'm not going to get to work in the future with you at this point, but I think you're going to be a tremendous asset to the county. And I want to thank each one of those 5 county managers for the work they've done. All 5. Now I want to say a special thank you to all of our employees and our current department heads. I asked Amber for an approximation of how many employees work for the county government. She said approximately 500, and that changes. That's full and part-time. It changes from time to time. I'm going to name the department heads, but I want everybody to understand one thing. I'm not putting the department heads above our employees. Our department heads are our leaders in each department. But if they don't have good employees working underneath them, the department's not going to work. It's just like being a principal of a school. I was principal of 3 schools before I became superintendent. That was Sandy Ridge, Nancy Reynolds, and North Stokes High School. Rest assured, we were very successful in those 3 schools. But I do not take the glory or the recognition. Who helps, who made it all come together there were my teachers, my assistants, my custodians. Everybody was part of my team. When we had Thanksgiving meals the day before we got out of school, everybody came. Every custodian in that school, everybody that worked, they all came and we all ate together because the success depended upon the team. So to my department heads, I look at you as principals of your department, and you have people working with you to help make you successful and your department successful. Here in our central governmental position, Jeff Sanborn is our county manager, Amber Brown is our clerk to the board, and she served as interim county manager. Did a great job. Thanks for the time you put in that position. I'm sure Jeff will keep you busy now. And the printout they gave me, if I call you by the name you're not used to, Tommy and others, they gave me your first names, such as Charles Reeves. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
That's not what I call you, but that's what's on this sheet. Eddie McGee, Arts Council. Laura Jones, District Resource Center. Tori Mabe, Economic Development. Jason Perry, Board of Elections. Matt Boyles, Emergency Communications. Brandon Gentry, Emergency Management. Lisa Langford, Finance. Scott Aaron, Fire and Rescue. Tammy Martin, Health Department. Jamie Clark, Human Resources. Ken Farmer, Information Systems. Janice Pack, Natural Resources. Eric Nance, Planning. Stuart Easter, Public Buildings. Glenda Pruitt, Purchasing. Brandon Hooker, Registered Deeds. Victoria East, Senior Citizens. Joy Lemons, Sheriff. Stacy Amps, Social Services. And I think I'm about ready to get to the end of our department heads. Let me see. Richard Brim, Tax Administration. Danny Triplett, Vehicle Maintenance, and Larry Hunsucker, Veteran Services. Those are our department heads. And I say to you, I think we have an outstanding group of department heads. But always remember, department heads, keep it in your mind. Treat the people that work for you like you would want to be treated. Treat them like you would want to be treated. And you know what they'll do? I'm going to tell you what they'll do, because being a principal, I needed my teachers to be on board with me. When I made a decision, I needed them to jump on board with me. You treat them right, and they'll go to the end of the earth to make you proud of them. So to all 480 to 500 employees for the Stokes County Government Center, I say to you, job well done. Job well done. I'm almost finished. I've worked with 3 sheriffs real close. And one of them was not in this position. But I will say he was one of my best friends, Mike Joyce. Mike Joyce was sheriff when I was principal of those 3 schools, Sandy Ridge, Nancy Reynolds, and North Stokes. Mike would come up on Fridays and sit down and we'd talk. But it was more than the talking with Mike. This is not to offend anybody that hates the Washington Redskins. They call them the Commanders now. However, I will always know them as the Washington Redskins. And I think there's even a something getting ready to happen in Washington now that they're going to change their name back, trying to change their name back from the Commanders to the Redskins. I know that's a political issue, but wanting to come back to RFK Stadium, which is where I went to see them play. Well, see, Mike Joyce and I were both staunch Redskin fans because the Carolina Panthers didn't have a team at that time. So Mike and I would go up on Sundays and watch the Redskins play. So 3 times a year we'd take a bus tour. Go up on Saturday, spend the night, watch the game on Sunday. Most of the time we won. But the longest trip back to North Carolina from Washington, D.C. was when Troy Aikman was in his first year as quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. And their record that year was 1-15. And their one win was against the Washington Redskins at RFK Stadium. So we had a long bus ride home and let the Cowboys beat us that day. And also, what was so funny, my family's so divided. My brother is going to help look after my mother the next 2 years together, the two of us. He pulls for the Steelers. Nothing like Pittsburgh to him. My brother passed away, he was a Dallas Cowboy fan, so boy, we really hammered each other. But Mike Joyce was more than just a sheriff to me. He was my friend. We went so many places together, and I was fortunate enough to coach 3 young men in baseball that got drafted by major leagues, and one of them was his son, Mikey Joyce. He was drafted as a pitcher by the Los Angeles Dodgers. Then I coached the King American Legion team for 4 years, head coach. And I had a younger man by the name of Brian Ingram, who was drafted by the Oakland A's, and an Overton kid who pitched for Mount Tabor that was drafted by the New York Mets. All of those things I still remember. Second sheriff was Mike Marshall. Mike was sheriff when I was superintendent of the school system, and also while I was county commissioner. And I always thought we could always ask Mike to help us out in situations, and he always was willing to help. And now we have Joy Lemons, and Joy's wife's a teacher, but we never talked business. When we sit next to each other, we talk about his dad umpiring ball games and things like that. And so I've known all 3 of the sheriffs very well. Judges, Angela Puckett and Bill, very close to both of them. I think we've worked very well with the 3 municipalities, King, Danbury, and Wantco. I think we have a good working relationship with all 3 groups. And that's important, to have a good working relationship with each group. And I think we do. So I put them in alphabetical order to start with. Sometimes I don't do that, but Danbury, King, and Wantco. All 3 municipalities, I think we have a great working relationship with them. I've worked with many different county commissioners. I'm the senior member on the team right now after 8 years. And I'm going to show you how well my memory is now. My wife says something's wrong with me mentally because I can remember everything from years back. For each county commissioner I've worked with, I'm going to name them without looking at the pictures or the paper. First board, Ernest Langford, James Booth, Jimmy Walker, Rhonda Jones, and myself. Next election cycle, Jimmy Walker, Rick Morris, Andy Nicholson, Jamie Yance, and myself. Jamie Yance had to give it up due to work reasons, and we had Ernest Langford and Wayne Barneycastle come in and take his place. Now, this is our current board. Commissioner Cox, Commissioner Wood, Commissioner Chandler, Commissioner Morris. I'm not that old. I still have a good memory. And to all the commissioners that I've worked with, I give you kudos to all, every one of you. Do we always agree on everything? No. But you know what? You work together because what is our common goal is to make Stokes County better, to improve Stokes County as much as possible. And I can honestly say that I feel like every board, even though they had different personalities, different groups, we all had that common goal to improve Stokes County. Every single one. So I'm getting ready to finish up. I said I wouldn't talk this long. I do want to thank our two. This is not being political in any way. Please don't take it this way. But you have to acknowledge what is before you. We have 5 commissioners and we're all Republicans. I mean, nobody can say anything to me about that because that's fact. 5 commissioners, 5 Republicans. So I go to 2 people that I want to thank, and have been our 2 chairpersons during my 8 years on the Republican Party. First, Virginia Smith. She was the chairperson when I ran in 2016. She had been chairperson, I think, for the party for about 20 years. And she gave up the chairpersonship a couple years ago, and now we have Gary East. Worked well with both of them. But Virginia, I told this story in front of Rick. I hadn't told it in front of any of the others. So I'm going to be real careful here. Not because as you see, I'm down to the very end here. My wife started out at McLean Trucking. Then she went to Piedmont Airlines. Then US Air bought Piedmont out. And then she went to the USDA office down the road here at the old courthouse. She was in a meeting in Raleigh for the USDA, and Virginia Smith and I talked that afternoon. She wasn't even in town. I'd been out of superintendency for less than a year. And I talked, and I said, what do you think about the possibility of me running for county commissioner? She was the chairperson at the time. This was before Gary. And she said, I think you would make a great county commissioner. I said, so do you think the county, everybody in the county knew me because when you're a superintendent of a school system, everybody knows you. Everybody gets to know. All parts of the county. King, Wantco, Pinnacle, Francisco, it doesn't matter where, they know you. So Virginia said, why don't you come to the executive committee meeting tonight as a guest? I said, okay. I might just do that. And I said, well, what do you think my chances are of getting in? She said, I think you're going to be a shoo-in. She said, but I got to ask you one question. I've said this in front of Rick a couple of times. She said, do you have anything hidden in your closet? And I said, nothing that I can think of, unless it's hard work and things like that. And she said, well, why don't you come one month night and just make an announcement you're going to run for county commissioner. So I went up there that night. Everybody else sitting around, they were all talking. They saw me walk in, I was sitting in the back row. I was a little bit leery of what to do. First one I'd ever been to. And she said, we got a guest tonight. Mr. Mendenhall, former superintendent of the school system. Ronnie, would you like to say anything to the group tonight? I'm sitting in the back row. All these people that's been all these executive meetings sitting around, they looking at me. And I stood up and I said, yes, Miss Smith, I'd like to announce I'm running for county commissioner. Oh my God. The people's reaction, like, you ain't even ever been to an executive meeting. What? Praise God on this one. We had the election. My wife handled the entire behind the scenes part. And I did what they say in Washington. I went all over this county and I shook hands and I kissed babies and I did everything you could do. And I with the blessing of the Lord, I got 17,000 votes and the second place person got 8,000. That was Jimmy Walker. I'll never forget as we walked out of election night, Ernest Langford looked at me and he said, Ronnie, can you give me those extra 9,000 votes? I need them next time. So I thank Virginia. Gary, I wish you the best. Next 2 years, I made a promise to my brother. That's why I didn't run for re-election. That my mom's 92, will be 92 in January, and her health is beginning to fail. And he has taken care of my mom for the past 8 years. He's not married, he lives with her. He's 55. And I gave him my word, and I'm a man of my word. My word is my bond, that I would not run this time and help him take care of her for the next 2 years. She'll be 94 if she's still living. And the last person I'm going to thank is my wife. Because I'm going to tell you, you see these people in Washington, D.C.? I heard Mike Johnson speak. I went to one of the rallies. I heard Mike Johnson speak, and I heard him thank his family. But I want to especially thank my wife. She has stuck with me through thick and thin. All the meetings I've gone to that she had to miss me being at home. She never did say anything negative in any way. She was always supportive. So to you, thank you. And I am planning at this time running for public office, a public office in 2026. However, there are 4 different offices. So y'all can't narrow it down to anything. I've had 4 different offices, both statewide and locally, that I've had people come to me and ask me to consider running for. So for 2 years, I'm going to dedicate to helping take care of my mom. Then in 2026, you might see a Mendenhall for something sign. It could be garbage man. Never know. But next 2 years, I wish y'all the best. And when Wayne comes on board with you, he'll be sworn in next Monday as a group for the next 2 years. I wish you the very best. And I thank all of y'all and all the employees here in this county. Thank you. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Mr. Morse, you want to continue with the commentary?
I only need half as much time.
Well, I can't give you unlimited time.
Just kidding. I actually have very short comments. I'd like to welcome everybody that's participating in our meeting today. Wish everybody, all of our citizens of the county, a happy Thanksgiving this week. Very excited about the cabinet that President Trump's putting together. I've never seen anything quite like it, but I'm really looking forward to it operating. One of the things I hope they will do is shine a light on Western North Carolina, because I think they're kind of in the category of they're being forgotten a little bit. But if you check in and see what's going on up there, it's there's a lot of work to be done. A lot of people that are in a really bad way. So I'm hoping President Trump will take notice of that and maybe do some extraordinary things when he gets in office to help those folks. Last of all, congratulations to Commissioner Mendenhall. I wish you a very happy and healthy retirement. A real retirement.
Thank you.
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Ronnie, I enjoyed every word of your speech and all the stuff you have accomplished. You're getting ready to take on something you will never regret. The biggest achievement I've done, and I'm officially retired, everybody, from public work after 52 years, but the biggest thing I accomplished in my life was looking after my parents and keeping them from going to a rest home. So you'll never regret that. Other things I would like to mention, that popped in my head, reasons I'm thankful for Stokes County. Number one is this group here. Number two is the Arts Council is second to none in the state. I wish I would have got I thought it was going to be in the Stokes News, but it was in a email I got concerning some award they just recently won. That, you know, Sonia?
Oh, what it's called.
I thought they were number one in the state, and they went to Asheville for an award.
Did. I'll find out.
Okay, and it's just
saw that.
the soup deal they had Saturday was a big crowd, and they just keep accomplishing everything. And if you're not attending events there, you're missing out. I'm not going to go on and on, but the 60 Plus always give y'all an update. Last Thursday, in nice cool weather, we helped 135 families, and I'm kind of proud of that, because it's a need, and we're trying to make it happen. And that's all I got.
Commissioner Fox?
Yep. I never did find I saw that somewhere about the award that, Tori's not in here, is he? What's the award they got?
Please hide
They were nominated by the board of the North Carolina Arts Education Association for a Friends of the Arts 2 award. This award is given to an organization annually that makes significant contributions to art education. Once nominated, Stokes Arts accepted the nomination and completed an application process that involved photos and a written response that defined how the Arts Council, Stokes Arts, supports the local school system and promotes arts education in the community. At the annual NCAEA conference and awards breakfast, Stokes Arts received the award with the Educators of the Year. Stokes County Arts Council was especially congratulated for being instrumental in reinstating elementary art schools throughout the county.
Yep, thank you. And that's one thing that we worked hard to achieve. I served with Ronnie for a long time as a school board member when he was a principal, and then when he was our superintendent. And I'll talk more about that when we do his recognition at the end here, if that's okay. But we go way back, and I do appreciate Commissioner Mendenhall's service on this board, and as well as his service to our community and our school system. And that was a huge thing that when I ran for school board that I wanted to accomplish, was getting arts education back in the elementary schools. And we were able to do that, and the Arts Council was instrumental in helping us accomplish that. So I'm very pleased and proud of that award. And like I said, we can't say enough good about the Arts Council, and they're just top notch, and the things that they bring and the programming they bring. And they just had Soup in the Bowl Saturday, which was a huge success, and they just do so much good work for our county. So we'll give them a nod for sure. But I just want to thank everybody that's tuning in and watching, and those here today. And I wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving, and just still praying for those in the western part of the state that was mentioned that are still struggling and have needs. And I too hope that we can get some more help for, I know our state just passed a bill that will help them a lot. Just hope the money gets to where it's needed most there. But that's all I have, and I'll have more comments at the end. Thank you.
Go to our county manager, Jeff. Do you have anything you want to?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a couple things I'd like to comment on. Last week, Amber and I met with Brian Boo, representing the combined ABC board, to try to figure out what our next steps were with regard to the referendum success from this past election. We were pleased to learn that it looks pretty simple moving forward from here. We really just need to provide a copy of the resolution that you all adopted to put that on the ballot, and then a copy of the certified election results, and send that to the ABC Commission. And then once that's, once we get the response back from that, we'll be ready to go. Applications from our various businesses in the county that might want to take advantage of that will go straight to the commission, and we'll play a supporting role with regard to inspections that have to take place on the premises in order to complete the applications. Second thing is, it is Thanksgiving week, and I just want to remind the public that our offices will be closed on both Thursday and Friday. Thank you.
Thank you. Just welcome everybody here, and especially the ones in attendance today. And it was a real pleasure and honor to serve with you, Ronnie. I think that even though, like you mentioned, sometimes we may not see 100%, but I know that you had a lot of valuable insight, and you had reasons behind why you were voting the way you did. And I didn't ever think you didn't have the best heart for Stokes County, because you're a true believer, and you continually work, not only with the youth. I mean, Lord, you know about everybody coming from the school system, and the parents, and and that says a lot. And you spend a lot of years in public service. It does put a lot of drain on you, your family, because you can't please everybody. And if you please everybody, you have a hard time being a good leader, because there's too many ways that you can go. But when you do the right thing and you have the Stokes County at heart, I think you win 99.9% of the time. So again, thank you for that. The last thing is I hope everybody, has a really good Thanksgiving coming up, and it's all about the family. And of course, I'm a strong advocate of public safety. And while you're, enjoying, well, me too now since I'm retired, but I'll actually be enjoying my dinner too. But remember that 24/7, you've got deputies and state troopers out there. You got City of King officers out there working 24/7. And while they're out there working, their families aren't enjoying their time with their husband or their wife. Also remember our volunteer firefighters. They may be enjoying the turkey, but until that whistle goes off, then they'll be leaving their families as well. And again, they're volunteer. So we appreciate that. And our emergency medical service, top notch, like Commissioner Mendenhall, mentioned too. They got top notch equipment, top notch training. But again, they're away from their families while they're out here running calls to whatever medical emergencies come up. So please remember them in your prayers. And with that, I'll just say, I'll conclude what the comment section, and we'll get down to the agenda. At this time, I might ask Amber to read the conflict of interest statement.
Before moving further, does any board member have any conflicts of interest with any of the items on the agenda for today?
No.
Okay. All right, can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion to approve.
I get a second?
Second.
All right, any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. At this time, we'll go to the information agenda, and first up is the introduction of the peer support specialist, and opioid prevention coordinator Savannah Hayes will present.
How are y'all?
Fine, how are you?
Good. This is Crystal. She is our new peer support specialist. She has already hit the ground running, and I gave you guys the referral forms that she came up with, her business card that she has made, and the peer support do's and don'ts list. Feel free to share that with any departments. We have already shared that with department heads in Stokes County, but if you guys have anybody that you feel like would benefit from the referral forms, let us know. Did you want to say anything, Crystal?
I just want to say that I'm not originally from Stokes County, but when I moved to Stokes, I feel the same way that he was speaking about, all the ways he feels about this county, and this is home to me, and I just want to get working as fast as I can to try to get it back to the way it should be. Try to take care of some things and try to help some people get back to a better quality of life. So I'm glad to be here.
Questions, comments?
I'd just like to say welcome, and we're so glad to have you. And I think we're going to see how valuable your services are going to be to our county and to the people and families in need. And sometimes these substance use involved people just need to know somebody's in their corner. And a lot of times their families have unfortunately, been through the ringer and just have not so much given up, but just, have just don't know where to turn anymore. And so I think you offer a ray of hope to these people, because you've been there, you've seen the other side, you know that you can make a difference and you can get out of that hole and see the other side, and that's going to be so important and valuable to the people you work with. So thank you for everything.
I appreciate that.
Mr. Morse, anything?
Yeah, welcome aboard. The area that you're working in is critically important. I think all of us campaigned on doing something to improve it, and so we've got a lot of focus there, and we're really looking forward to see the results that you guys come up with. Mr. Mendenhall?
Yeah, just welcome. Wish you the best. And I know that you'll do a great job. Looking forward to the success.
Just welcome. May I ask, where did you come from?
I'm originally from Wilkes County, but after
That ain't bad.
it ain't great either. But no, I'm originally from Wilkes, and we moved here after we had a tragic event happen in our family, and I didn't get the best start in Stokes, and I've been on the other side of life and the tracks in Stokes, and that's why it's so important to me to be here, to be able to just build it back and to give that hope.
Good luck.
Yep, thank you.
And I'll just echo what everyone has said here. It's just welcome to Stokes County government. And if I could just give you any advice, is that you're in the human field, the people business, and of course you've seen the other side, and now you're going to use that experience to hopefully stabilize people and give them hope. And I think that's the big thing that sometimes, at least in my experience, that I dealt with, is people gave up hope. And when you give up hope, then bad things happen. So if you keep that in mind, I think you'll win the majority of your battles. Anything else, Savannah?
I think that's it for right now.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you guys.
And next up is Brandon Hookers from the Register of Deeds. Good to see you, Brandon.
Good to see you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for having me today. Just a few numbers I'll run by you for the first fiscal quarter of our current fiscal year. July 1 through September 30th, we recorded, well, I'm skipping ahead here. Our recording fees were $58,027.75. Our excise tax, $120,184. That's over double, as you can see. Our sales tax revenue, as far as the property sales in the county, is bringing in double what our recording fees is. It used to be reversed a few years ago. Total revenue for the quarter, $178,211.75. You can see all the different the deeds and deeds of trust and birth certificates and so forth, how many we recorded over the last quarter. The money collected from the state, from our office, $69,897.40. Our gross revenue less those monies for net revenue of $108,314.35. A couple of other numbers I'll give you. We recorded 1,254 documents over the last 3 months, or during that 3-month period, including 18 new assumed business names. I don't know if I'm stealing any of Tori's thunder, but we did have 18 new business names come into the office for a total of 2,916 transactions over the last quarter. We've been pretty steady. Had some big sales in the county. I can't remember what building sold, but we've had some big ones. One of the biggest excise taxes that we've ever recorded was this past quarter, and for the life of me, can't remember which sale that was. But things are moving.
Stole my question. That's what I was going to ask you.
I should have been better prepared. I had a doctor's appointment this morning. That's why I'm not in my shirt and tie. And they had to roll up my sleeve and do some allergy things on me today. So I normally I'd be here in my regular attire that I am and have better prepared notes. So I'm sorry about that. But anyway, the only really update we have outside of our figures for the last quarter is we had a personnel change. Unfortunately, one of our deputies had to resign on good terms. She had a lack of child care and had one on the way, so she had to go home, and I think she's got some other opportunities. But we did hire a new person, Miss Tabitha Carter. I should have brought her up here today, but we're short-staffed down there. Our assistant register fell and broke her hip this past month, so a lot of you know that. She's been out for a few weeks, and she's working from home now starting tomorrow, and our vendor Logan Systems has been able to set her up a mobile station at home, so we'll get some relief there with her working from behind the scenes at her house. And Tabitha has hit the ground running. She's doing very well, very receptive to training that she's been receiving. Michaela Dotson, our other deputy, has been very instrumental in getting her on board and getting her trained up. So we're excited to have her on board. And that's all I have for my quarterly report.
Any questions or comments? Report. Nobody?
Is that big one a business or a residence?
Yeah, it was a business. Yeah, if it's going to be that big, it's not going to be a residential. It's going to be some kind of business. I know Chick-fil-A turned over again. It's been sold twice, or it's at least changed entities in some way with purchase prices. That's the second time that's happened to that particular property. That was last week. But the big one,
Don't worry about it.
it was Universal Healthcare, I'm pretty sure.
Right.
Yeah, I think so. And King, yeah. When it sold back in,
I forgive you, man. They're the ones that's going to handle.
I want to say it was August or September we had that big one. Do you mind me taking just a moment to speak to Commissioner Mendenhall?
Sure.
Commissioner Mendenhall and I go back about 25 years when he was assistant principal and I was a student at what was at the time North Stokes Junior High School. I didn't see him a whole lot back then, which was a good thing. I didn't want to see the principal. I was a 4'10" little middle schooler back then, and but anyway. But I've been here 7 years out of the 8 years that you've been here, and it's always been a pleasure. I was in the room the night you announced you were running. I remember that very well. And but anyway, it's been a very good, it's been a wonderful opportunity, a wonderful time working with you. You've always been supportive of my office, and I really appreciate it. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Brandon. Now we have Via Health come up and give a update, and Kara Townsend.
Hi there. Sorry, I almost took Brandon's spot. But I'm happy to be here. I'm Kara Donor from Via Health. For those of you who don't know, Via is one of the state managed care organizations, and so we manage Medicaid for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities, and for a little while longer foster care. But I'm the regional director. I handle Stokes County as well as Alamance, Caswell, Chatham, and Rockingham County. So congratulations on your retirement for now. Thank you for your service, and it sounds like I need to talk to you about baseball because I have a someone in travel baseball. But I just wanted to go over some of the statistics in Stokes County. I've got the clicker here. I won't keep you all too long because I know you have places to go. But I just wanted to show you, these are the people on the innovations waiver in Stokes County. You can see that's 63. And then on the other side, those are the people waiting for a slot. And this is something really great for our state. As I've mentioned before, the innovations waiver lets people have care for their loved ones, and it can be up to $120,000 a year, which sounds like a lot of money, but if you're in a facility, it could be double or 3 times that amount. So it's really beneficial for our state. The General Assembly continues to add slots for the state, so I encourage people, if they have a younger person in their family that could use assistance like this, I would encourage you to apply early because it can take up to 12 years to get a slot. I just wanted to go over, these are members served by age group and diagnosis, so you can see mental health is the most. Now, on the little bar below, that's intellectual and developmental disabilities, IDD, MH is mental health, and then substance abuse is the last one. So you can see that we do mostly mental health services in this county. So these are all of your providers. Daymark obviously being the biggest one, so you can see how that goes down the list. We work a lot with Wake Forest, Youth Haven. Youth Haven has been great. We've really found some creative ways to serve Stokes County. For example, your DSS directors worked with Youth Haven to establish care at a Youth Haven facility in Rockingham County to have more beds for people. So we try to find creative ways, and Stacy has definitely done that for the county. Here is a community hospital inpatient admissions. So you can see the single admits and then the readmits. those numbers are pretty low. So the county is doing really well on that. And then you can see people who have Medicaid and then non-Medicaid. So, that can be people who are just going through the county, who need services, who don't have any health insurance. So you can see the difference in numbers there, but that's only one person. And then emergency department admissions, you can see how many have been admitted, and then rapid readmissions. And again, those numbers are pretty low as well. And here we're working on getting more information to present to you. I'm sure I'll have this at the next meeting for care management and service usage. And can I answer any questions? I know that was really quick. But we really enjoy being in Stokes County. You have a lot of great leaders, and I'm so excited to see both of these ladies, if they're still there, who are offering such great services to the county. And I will say that peer support is a critical role. It really lets someone who's lived through a lot of experiences walk alongside someone else, and it helps greatly in the success of people going through different issues. So thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
I got one question.
Yes, sir. Yes, Mr. Chairman.
So, and I know this is difficult, or can be difficult, especially when you start dealing with people under the age of 18. But is there any way, or do you attempt to capture success stories? So in other words, if you're supplying treatment to, let's say 30 people, and then over the years, you're going to have the repeat people that are still having difficulty doing it. But do you ever capture this person went from this to where it's now is a productive member of the community?
Oh, sure. We don't really talk about that a lot, but we could. I mean, I could tell you one from a different county.
That's good
Yeah.
too. And then,
Yeah.
but like for right now, I would just like to know numbers.
On success rates.
Where,
I think I'm not sure if we can do that or not. We're so regulated by the state. I'm sure we could pull a couple cases out. We would just need to protect their information. But yes, we certainly have great successes. Each of the state MCOs were kind of graded on a scale, and VIA usually performs at the top. But yes, there are all kinds, from anywhere from the mental health sides to the substance use side. But I'm happy to try to bring out some success stories.
I would like
next
to.
time I'm here. Absolutely.
I would like to see that too. Sometimes too, because especially now, we take heat for spending money, of government tax dollars, and then the perception a lot of time is just we just throw money out, and that there's no sign of success. It's just like the money is just flushed down the toilet, just so we can say that we're sending money somewhere. And I know that's not correct, because I've been I've been in the fight when it comes to that stuff. But I just think that it does show that it's not we are able to break the cycle. It's not where it's hopeless. So yeah, if you could just do that, at least for me, I appreciate that.
Yes, and I will just brag on your DSS director, because she has a big job, and it's very stressful. And talk about success stories. I mean, I hear about her. I've received pictures of her spending time with children who have been displaced on Thanksgiving coming up, and she's a wonderful person. But I think it takes a really strong leader to run that department. And so I will just say that of all the counties I work with, I'm very impressed with the job that she's done. So, and there are definitely success stories just with her. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up.
Yes,
to
sir.
us.
Yes, sir.
Your earlier slide had no bond on it. Is that services no bond's providing inside the county or outside the county? You know,
I could get you the exact location of where they're providing services. I don't off the top of my head know exactly
okay.
where they, yes.
I'd just be curious to know what they're doing, and if it's in the county or out of the county.
I can find out for you, sure, certainly.
So,
Hopefully, with Novant bringing more services to our county, they can partner with VIA moving forward to provide even more things. Hopefully, when they get here and get established, that would be a partnership that would benefit our whole county, I think. Talking about the foster kids and everything, I know we had a DSS board meeting last week where I think Stacy said they had spent the last 29 days with kids that have no placement, nowhere to go, and they're having to stay with them. Are you seeing that as a problem across the board, across the state, where that happens a lot? And from what I gather, that is, and I'm guessing that these kids are just really hard to place. And are you seeing that they are hard to place because there are mental health issues associated a lot of times with what's going on that would make them harder to place? Or
Well, I think that's a trend across the state. I think we need more foster parents. And some of the cases that I've heard about, I don't work directly with the kids, but that yes, there could be a mental health diagnosis that goes along with it. I know that these kids who are in this situation, I mean, I would probably have some kind of diagnosis,
any child, I think, that's
Yes.
taken out of the home and placed in foster care should be having and getting mental health services, because there's
Yes.
no way that they're not traumatized by that,
Yes.
and deserve the services. And I think there is across the state a shortage of providers that can see these kids, and I don't know how VIA can help with that in our county, but I feel like that's, I know we started this roundtable. You were right there at the first meeting where we brought everybody together to talk about this opioid situation, and we've made headway. It might have taken us almost 4 years,
Yes.
but we've made progress. So maybe the mental health is the next thing that we need to really hammer. We've seen that the health department has just got this grant, that telehealth mental health grant that we're going to hit the ground running with, and we're very pleased to know that we got. So, something's got to be done, because as we know, these kids are at risk for substance use down the road because of their situations and things. So,
Yeah.
we're really going to need VIA to help us step up to the plate and really figure this out. So,
Something that other counties have done, they have, I don't know if you have Camp Hope here yet, but it's an amazing program that offers a camp to children who have either witnessed or experienced trauma themselves. And the statistics are quite alarming with that. And I know that a lot of foster care kids in foster care have experienced trauma, but just two statistics, they say that, that boys who have been abused in that situation will probably have 100 different victims during their lifetime if they don't get help. And girls tend to pick the wrong partners, get addicted to substances, and even face things like prostitution. So, there is definitely a connection to things that are happening to these kids and the success that they'll have as adults. And a lot of that stems, bleeds into the schools that we see, making sure kids are having services, that parents are understanding the services available, and sometimes those connections are hard to make for various reasons. But they're huge issues to be working on. But we're happy to be in work groups, and look at solutions for those issues.
we'll put our heads together moving forward on that. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
And we're going to go into our discussion agenda, and Assistant HR Director Donna Rogers is going to present the pay and benefits policy. Hey, Donna.
How is everyone? So I am Donna Rogers. I'm the HR Assistant Director, and I am here today presenting on behalf of Jamie in our HR department. Jamie is under the weather and out sick today, so I'd ask that you all send her some well wishes and prayers. So today I'm presenting the pay and benefits policy for discussion and consideration by the Board of Commissioners. The HR department has worked closely and in collaboration with the County Manager's Office on this policy. The purpose of the policy is aimed at providing a complete list of all authorized positions within Stokes County and the benefits associated with those positions. The plan also provides basic salary ranges for each regular full-time and part-time position, approved by the Stokes County Board of Commissioners. The county manager, assisted by the Human Resources Director, is responsible for the administration and maintenance of the policy. So I gave each one of you a packet this afternoon. There was one type error that we had in there, and that was on page 12. And we adjusted that to be 6C, or 6, I don't remember what that one was. 6D, thank you. So as you'll see, what the topics that are covered in that is salary and position classification schedule on starting on page 3. The overtime authorization starting on page 4, the longevity pay starting on page 5, the pay scales and salary schedules beginning on page 7, and the part-time rate starting on page 14, and then stipends is on page 7. And it would be open for discussion. Any questions you all may have?
I have several questions.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I got several questions in different areas. First of all, in the very beginning of the policy, it's talking about an annual salary survey. And my question is, what exactly is that, and is that of the entire workforce? Are we going to do the entire workforce some kind of a survey every year? Or is that a salary study every year, or what does that mean exactly?
It is intended to be a salary study, and we intentionally left that kind of vague. I think our initial thought was not to do the entire workforce or all the positions in the county each year. Maybe it would be a third of the positions one year, and then the next third the next year. So we're going back and touching each position at least every third year or something like that.
Okay.
But leaving the language vague, a little bit vague, allows us to modify our approach as we move forward.
That would lead right to my second question, if you'd consider doing like a third each year, and you already answered that, so read my mind or what?
Maybe.
I know some other places do it that way, like a third per year or whatever, but so this leaves the flexibility where you can, if you want to, not do them all.
That's right, yep.
Okay. On the next, right in that same general area, it talks about, I guess this is an introduction of merit pay that we've never had before, right?
It is.
I want to make sure. I thought that's
a little bit of a philosophical change that we're asking you to contemplate.
Yeah, so it talks about an annual salary, taking 2% of, as I understood it, sort of just by reading it literally, are you talking about like taking 2% of the total salaries that are paid here and separating that into a merit pay pool?
Yeah, the idea would be every year to budget for 2%.
Okay.
And then I would work with each department head on the allocation of that 2%. And the idea being that any individual employee, based on their demonstrated performance for the previous year, would earn a merit increase of somewhere between 0 and 3%.
Okay.
But the average would have to come out to 2% to stay under that budgeted amount.
So does the 2% come out of what our current budget is, slice off 2% of that and move it to a merit pay pool, or are we going to add 2% to what we currently have and make a merit pay pool?
It's a separate annual allocation, but I mean, if you really think about how, when you factor in the effects over time of turnover, where you're bringing in new people and people are staying on, it's not really an addition. It's not an annual increase of 2%. It's
Okay.
it all comes out in the wash if you really think about that. How when you know when senior people leave us, and you're going back and starting at zero with the new hire. So
We'll do this on the next budget cycle, right?
that's right. Yeah.
And if we do that, so will then, let me ask it a different way, would it be a separate line item that's 2% that's a merit pay pool,
That's right. Yeah.
basically?
Yep. In each department.
Okay. And then we'll just, like you said, it'll come out in the wash with the entire budget as we do that. It's not really either taking away or adding on. It's just new.
That's right.
Okay. So,
After the first year, after that implementation year, it wouldn't be adding to the overall budgetary impact.
then it says, just, I'm not nitpicking, but it says in that same sentence, an average of 2% merit pay for all employees. Does that imply that every employee will get something? Because what you just said a while ago was it would be 0 to 3%. I would hope it would be 0 to 3%.
0 to 3%, depending on their
Okay.
demonstrated performance.
Okay. Okay, so somebody could do a bad job and get 0. They're not automatically going to get
That's right.
like 1% or
Yep.
anything. Okay. I like that. I like all of that. I think that should work really good. Are you going to use the performance evaluation forms, the process that we've got in place now to somehow figure out who gets the merit pay or not?
It will be an input.
Okay.
You know, when you think about the fact that different supervisors use that tool differently, it's hard to use it as the only factor. Right? You know, it can't be fair. So.
Yeah, the problem that some people have, and I don't have an issue with this, but some people will make the accusation that merit pay is just favoritism, where some people can give it to their favorite people where they work or not. I was wondering how you're going to measure all that, or how they'll do that, but you're planning on doing that. Okay. Further down in the thing, it talks about probation. Right, 6-month probation. Right now, I think we have the option to extend that to a year. Are you going to leave that in place, or take it? It's not mentioned in here. So does that stay or go? Or do you have a preference?
Funny, the subject came up in a conversation last week as well. I'm aware that we've had a policy in the past that has a 6-month probationary period. I don't think it's a big deal one way or the other. I think at the end of the day, we all work at will, and if we don't perform, we're subject to termination. So, yeah, maybe there's just a little bit of added protection from the standpoint of the organization with a probationary period, but I've never found it to be a big factor.
So you're saying basically that it's in 6 months you can figure out if you're going to use it or not?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay. It mentions a cell phone stipend in here. Is that a fixed amount? If it were in the case where you would decide to give somebody a cell phone stipend, would that be a fixed amount, or would it vary from?
I think we probably need to work toward a fixed amount. I don't know what that fixed amount is yet, and it probably needs to change over time with the market.
Oh, okay.
The idea is that we have the option for employees to take a government issued cell phone, but then they're just having to carry around 2 phones. So if we can provide a stipend that's less expensive than providing this an additional cell phone, that makes a lot of sense. So
yeah, I agree 100%. Also mentions a vehicle stipend, and my question on that was where it would be if you use that. Would that be something that would replace mileage reimbursement, or how does that work in conjunction with reimbursing somebody mileage for using their
I think
vehicle?
in general, a vehicle stipend is most appropriate for a situation where somebody would qualify for a take-home car. In other words, or a dedicated car for their business. Probably more often it's the dedicated car, but And again, the idea is if it's more cost effective for us to provide a stipend than it is to provide a car and pay for that car over time and pay for the gas and the insurance and everything else, then those are opportunities that we can take advantage of to lower the overall budgetary impact on the county.
Okay. What you've said there triggered a thought. I get a lot of comments out of the community, I think probably we always have, about people that drive cars home, government cars home.
Yeah.
So if you drive a government car home and commute back and forth to work in it, and there's good reasons for doing that, that's a tremendous cost savings for somebody from a compensation standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
So I would, if you guys don't mind, like maybe during the next budget cycle, do a real good review of who's taking them home and whether that's appropriate or not. As you're aware, in the federal government, that area you get in trouble with real quick if
I think that's very appropriate.
Not done properly or whatever. And I've noticed the community really watch these cars and who's driving and what they're doing with them. So that's a kind of a touchy area, I think, that we need to really stay on top of. Further down, we talked about, or somewhere it's mentioned when you're talking about the exempt and non-exempt. My question is about, we have a few people, I think, that are kind of unique, that I would call them working supervisors. Like environmental health comes to mind with Brandon, where he's a supervisor, but he does the same thing the workers do. I think the folks that work for him do. I think the garage is probably the same category, where we have a supervisor who also, at least it has been in the past, I don't know, where they pull wrenches and also are supervisor. Is there any kind of unique difference between those people and how they should be reimbursed if they're working a lot of extra hours compared to the other categories that are described in this policy? Or have y'all thought about that at all? Or
well, I think we necessarily think about it quite often. The federal standards on who is and isn't exempt are not particularly easy to interpret and understand, and they're like 5 or 6 categories of factors that we have to consider. I have not personally done a review of who is and isn't exempt, but I know that it's something that it's an enduring situation, and it's likely that in all, if not, well, in the overwhelming majority of the cases, if not all of the cases, we're adhering to the federal requirements right now.
Yeah, so I guess if we could just look at that in the policy here, you've got it says 3 categories under exempt. One is executive, one's administrative, one is professional. I was wondering if that professional is the same thing I'm talking about. Is that on the?
You want to help here?
I just know a lot of our department heads fall under the exempt.
All of
All
the
our
department
department
heads
heads are
It's just some of the
exempt.
supervisors that it just depends.
I think it depends upon their job description, how many people are under them, what is in that job description is how they would fall as to what type of exempt they are.
If my recollection is correct, the professional consideration is for things like lawyers,
Oh, okay.
people that have special
Like doctors,
educational
maybe.
qualifications, background to.
Okay.
They call it the learned professional
Yeah.
as well. So it's like doctors, lawyers,
Yeah.
advanced degrees, that kind of thing.
Okay.
Not that, but I think most of our exemptions come in under administrative.
Okay. I would just be curious if, I guess my final question on the whole thing is, is the working supervisor kind of person treated just like any other exempt employee if they're exempt?
Probably non-exempt.
As far as pay goes.
I think if you're just talking about a lower level working supervisor, it's probably non-exempt.
Well, like, we'll take for Brandon, he's the best example I can think of. He's exempt for sure, right? Or is he?
It's, well, we can find out with,
Yeah, Brandon's exempt, so he's doing the environmental health work. I'm just curious if, given that he does the hands-on stuff versus supervisor only, is he treated exactly as any other exempt employee? He or anybody else that's in the same categories?
if they qualify as exempt, they're treated the same as every other employee, with the exception of some public safety positions like our EMS.
Okay. All right, I'll leave that dead horse alone then for now.
I'll try to get you some better clarification. If you want to contact the office, we can get you a list of who is and who isn't, and sit down and look at that if you
Okay, yeah, I may do that just out of curiosity and see. Just a couple more. All the stuff we approved in here that are in these tables, and what I'm thinking now about is the G11 and the G12 designations. We have only 2 or 3 that are G12s.
That's right.
The rest of them are G11s. That determination was made when we were working with the County Commissioner Association, and they did a detailed look at all this stuff.
And it would be in the future, when we do salary studies, we may come back to you with a recommendation to move, a position that's currently in G4 to G5.
Okay.
Based on what's going on in the market, for example.
Yeah, and the reason I think that's a good idea. The reason I'm asking is I think of the department heads and I look at the ones that are I kind of just think of it, if you want to, in general terms, how difficult is the job? How many people do they supervise? What's the level of responsibility, and 3 or 4 other things.
Yeah.
Then it gets a little fuzzy of how come this person's not a G12 or this person's not a G11. So I like to really kind of keep a close watch on that. And make sure that we don't have department heads that are doing more difficult, more responsibility, and at a grade lower than another department head. It's kind of where I'm coming from.
Yeah, there's difficulty, there's responsibility, and then there's the market.
Yeah.
What the market demands for that skill set. So.
Okay. And the last thing I had, is there any provision in here for bonuses? I was looking for that as I went through. I might have overlooked it. Like if we wanted to do a Christmas bonus for employees, is that in here? Or does that need to be something we are going to do, or are you recommending not doing them, or?
I think maybe it's not called a bonus or the Christmas bonus, but the longevity pay kind of functions that way.
Okay. I just had a question on that from an employee this morning. That's why I brought it up.
So the longevity pay was just paid out this past Friday to all employees. Any employee who was here consecutive 5 years, as of November the 1st of each year.
Okay. I'm not taking a position one way or other on bonuses for this year or any other year, but it's just something we've done in the past in lieu of a COLA, for example.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure if it needed to be in here that it was. And that's all I have.
Well, if you put that in there, you're tying it up for every year unless you change it, the bonus thing. We went through that for our company. It's people never look a definition of bonus up. They expect it.
Well, what we've done over the past time I've been here is we used to give COLAs, and we're kind of not doing COLA now. We're kind of doing it a different way, I think.
Right now.
Yeah. So what we've done in the past, if we did want to give a COLA because of the cost and the fact that it was recurring, then we'd give a one-time bonus a lot of years, so they get something, even though times were lean, you couldn't get a COLA. So
I think COLAs are important because they keep our pay schedule up to date with the market, and we don't want to find ourselves in a situation like we have, you all were in last spring, trying to wrestle with a big bill to pay and how to make that happen.
Are you thinking of addressing the COLA thing by maybe doing this survey every year and taking care of it that way versus doing like an actual COLA?
To be clear, the policy has a provision in it that requiring that for each budget we build in a cost of living adjustment that's based on the CPI that's measured in the previous December.
Oh, it is? Okay. I missed that. It says we're going to do a 2% every year, or we're going to do it based on CPI.
Yeah.
that they're
So it's a
relevant.
reflection of, what the market is doing to the buying power of each one of our employees.
So that's the second bullet where it says ensure county pay plan remains current by adjusting salary ranges annually using relevant methodologies in the previous year's CPI.
That's right.
That's the COLA
Yep.
provision. Okay, good. That answers that. That's all I have.
Anybody else with questions, comments?
I like it. I like the policy.
Well, I just know the cost of living adjustment and bonuses have been used in the past 8 years in different manners. But it'll be good to have a solid policy on that now, so you won't have to be guessing about the COLA or whatever. That's all I have.
Anything, Commissioner Cox?
I don't, looks good to me.
Looks really good to me, and I saw some changes in there that I really liked, especially when it comes to the car, it going to education, educational training and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Our current policy was kind of antiquated in my opinion. I think it took away from the benefit of being able to get the additional training, but at the same time, at least to be able to not so be narrowly focused as what the transportation was going to be.
You're talking about the ride-along?
Yeah.
Did we? I don't know if we did get that fixed, did we?
Well, you did the, what I'm talking about is educational. So if you had someone in the car with you, say it's your wife, as long as it was, and for training purposes and stuff, then it was allowable. Where currently it's not.
Yeah.
And then plus, if you took your own personal vehicle, they wouldn't pay you mileage if you took your car. And I just thought that was kind of backwards.
Right.
But I appreciate the only suggestion and you probably already know this, but the one thing that when I first came on the board and started to understand, in the budget cycle, and then there are cost centers and so forth, is that there's their salary lag or their lapsed salaries, that's what they call them here, lapsed salaries, is if you don't get a handle on that and then control that centrally. So in other words, currently like right now, there's a lot of latitude if let's say if the sheriff's office, has a lot of turnover and they have that lapsed salaries, they just spend it.
You can't.
Well, I think
it's in the wrong budget line.
Well, I think they move it. Well, they move it. I mean, they just don't do it. They'll move it like to overtime.
Well, yeah, and if you don't have the people available because you're short because of this, what's creating the lapsed salary situation, then you're probably using overtime to cover it. So,
well, but my point is if they're using, you're not going to have a lot of savings then.
Sorry.
My point is, if they're at their discretion, of course, they got to do to move it.
Mm-hmm.
But to your point, I mean, I understand that if you're short because people are quitting, then you're going to have to pay overtime. But you can't have it both ways. You can't let them pay overtime, and then you're factoring that in for the merit pay, where you're gonna capture 2% of the lapsed salaries.
It's 2% of the budgeted salary.
Well,
Okay,
however
yeah,
you come to, I mean, you're not going to get the money. What I'm afraid of is and I'm all for the merit plan, but I want to make sure that we're not taking for granted that you're going to actually have a savings like you think you're going to have to fund the merit plan. If you're funding a lot of it from lapsed salaries.
So, like I said, the merit 2% line entry will be factored in at budget time, and it will be 2% of the projected salary cost for the year. And as you're correctly pointing out, as we go through the year, we're going to have lapsed salary, and that's what that's really just doing is contributing to the budget to actual variance that causes us at the end of the year to use less of our appropriated fund balance than we initially forecasted. Maybe we're not communicating very well. I don't understand you or.
Don't we require a budget amendment to move it from lapsed salaries to overtime?
Yeah.
That's just salary. It's all in the pay and benefits line. So
Jeff, didn't I see,
to overtime.
Jeff, didn't I see in here on overtime authorization that would be comp time unless it was EMS and
That's right, yeah.
communications.
I think in the past we've had to do a budget amendment to move it up.
You're right.
That's still the policy. So we would know.
Right.
For personnel stuff, we've always had it where we could watch that closely.
I'll
Than other things.
I'll check on that for you. My basic understanding from previous experience would suggest that that overtime would be in the overall salary budget line.
Yeah, and that's
Be
what I'm
paid
used to.
out of that
If it's-
fund.
If your salary is in your budget,
Yeah.
we used to move it all the time.
Yeah.
To cover overtime.
Yeah.
And I guess that's why I just wanted to make sure that, I guess we're on the same sheet of music. We're gonna count a lot.
We do in fact have a separate line item for overtime.
We do. That was what I was coming off of, which was
But either way, it needs.
overtime would be taken care of with comp time unless it was EMS and communications and temporary.
That's right.
I guess just so I'm straight, is we're not counting totally on lapsed salaries to fund the merit program.
No.
Okay.
I can answer that one very clearly for you. Thanks for the softball.
We've always wanted to do budget amendments for overtime changes in the past, so we can see how much overtime we're using and see if a department is out of hand with it,
Yeah.
Any other questions for Donna or for the
I just want to make a quick comment real quick, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure.
Just a shout out to the HR and the finance department for working on getting our employees paid 2 days in advance. Due to the holidays, the bank's being closed. And with the new payroll software, it kind of added some challenges for that, but we've worked really hard over the weekend, and a lot of the employees from the finance department, shout out to them. Also, the department heads getting their timesheets in a timely manner to get those done and no corrections, so, or very little, adjustments to that. So that makes our job a lot easier, so a big shout out to them. And as Mr. Sanborn did note, that we are closed Thursday and Friday of this week, and happy Thanksgiving to everybody. If you have any questions for us, please reach out to us, and we'll be glad to try to get you a report of whatever information you might need. Did you have something else?
No, I'm good.
We would like to bring this back to you at your next meeting for potential action.
Okay.
So, we've got between now and then, if things come up, as you further contemplate the language that's in this draft policy, let us know.
Good. All right, next is the fund balance policy, and our Assistant Finance Director, Tracy Aaron, will present.
Only got one question on it.
I know what it is. No. The finance department worked with the county manager's office to establish a fund balance policy for the board's consideration. And I believe you guys had that in your agenda packet. Do you have any questions for myself, Amber, or Jeff?
Just have one. It says toward the end of the policy that if we have excess funds above the 30% fund balance, that it will be it could be used for capital or debt. Was the intent to limit it to those two areas? Only be that the board could only use it for either capital expenses or debt reduction?
Do you have another suggestion?
Just think about operational stuff maybe, or special circumstances that may come up that are not under those two categories.
Yeah, the idea behind this is at the immediately following budget adoption each year, we would come to you and say, hey, we're over 30% right now. Would you like to earmark this for future capital, or would you like to pay down debt? And if not, it would stay in fund balance, which would make it available for any operational requirements
Okay,
going forward.
okay.
I think typically in some of the county ones we looked at, when counties have a established capital improvement plan, it would go towards that. That's what a lot of counties had it towards.
Those seem like logical places to spend it, but I just wondered if that was like a strict limitation that we couldn't even look at anything else. But like you said, if it stays in the, if we didn't do one of those two things, it would have to stay in the fund balance. So then we could spend it whatever we want to. So.
There's kind of a middle of the road approach as well. You could I'll probably butcher the actual terminology, but you could leave it in fund balance, but earmark it for future capital needs.
Yeah, sometimes that's a smart thing to do, so you don't get it locked down in capital where you don't.
Or it gets tied up there, right? So
Get tied up in there where you can't use it in the future. Okay.
Yeah,
That's the only question I had.
Well, I was just gonna say, I think that's a very good idea, because some of the capital projects that we've undertaken, to give you a prime example, the new jail, we financed that for 40 years. 40. You know, there's always future projects that you could, if we get in excess of 30, excess of 30% on our jail balance. Right. If we do that.
Yeah, if we gotta
Been
do
here
that,
8
that'd be
years.
great.
8 years, I don't think we've ever, it's usually around 22, 23 has been the highest, I think.
You may also be wondering, so how are we doing right now in terms of this proposed fund balance policy? And Tracy went back and did some analysis on that. This is how we've looked since 2018. And if you think about that 30% budgeted threshold, that's the numbers that you see in the fifth column, that percent. So we're just, when you adopted the budget last June, that budget resulted in a budgeted fund balance that's just below that 30% threshold. We're pretty close. We're just about there. And if you look at the far right column, that's the unassigned fund balance that should be weighed against that 20% threshold that's in the policy. And you can see where we kind of bounced up and down on that one. Now, that 16.7% total that's shown for 2025, well, we don't really know how we're going to come out at the end of the year yet. So, but it's pretty safe to assume that our budget to actual variance is going to drive that number up. And I would guess that we're probably going to end the year over that 20% threshold. Is that a fair statement?
I think definitely that's fair.
I think it's important, though. I'm glad you brought this up in front. It's important to understand, because a lot of times when we're in budget mode, we're worried about what the LGC mandates, and it's the unassigned fund balance. So some people, I think they get confused and they say, you got over 30% sitting, sitting there. I said, well, but what we got to also go on is the LGC, which is the unassigned fund balance. And I know that, a couple years, we were not close, but we were trending the wrong way instead of that. So that's a good, I'm glad you brought that.
It's also important to remember that that's just a snapshot in time. That's the end of the year.
Right.
As we go through our year, that unassigned fund balance is fluctuating,
right,
depending on when revenue's coming in, when our expenditures are going out. But the purpose of a fund balance is to take care of emergencies, and we got to watch that as well as we go through the year.
That's good information.
Yeah, very good. Good job.
I think you're getting unscathed, Tracy. Run.
I
got the
Yeah.
next one too.
We would also like to bring this one back for potential action at your next meeting, if that's okay.
Yep, sounds good. Did you email that chart to us, Amber?
Yeah, we will.
All right, next up is the resolution approving financing terms. All right, well, maybe you're not going to get out here unscathed.
In the budget, we had items that we were going to finance, and Glenda put out for the bid, and the items that we're looking to finance was the front end loader for the garbage truck of $425,000, 2 vehicles for DSS, an ambulance, and computers for the departments, which totaled $883,337. First National Bank was chosen for the financing for 24-25, with interest rate of 4.59 fixed rate, and loan documents have been received and are attached for your approval. We had also set aside in the budget for some items that was supposed to be financed, but it was brought to our attention that as long as it's attached to real property, construction, repair, that it would have to go to the LGC for approval. So we're pulling those items out at right around $120,000, which was HVAC for EMS Station 5, HVAC for ANS, the security fence for the emergency management property, and the roof. We still want to do those items, but we just don't want to finance them for $120,000, have to go through LGC since it's going to be attached to real property. So we're recommending that we take those, we need to get them done, take those out of the fund balance for the 120. So, and I said if you guys agree to the budget amendment, we get the budget amendment ready for the next meeting, and then we can proceed on with our closing.
Any questions,
You're
comments?
taking out contingency? You're going to take out contingency or just straight out fund balance?
Because the contingency that we do have, that Lisa has set up, is for the leave cost. I don't know that we have enough in regular contingency.
Okay.
Could you go back over that list that you gave us?
But what we're going to finance, we're doing a front end loading garbage truck for $425,000, 2 vehicles for DSS totaling $70,000, an ambulance for $306,000, and the computers for all departments $82,337.
Anybody else?
Good with all that she just said.
I am too.
You want to move that to action now, or you ready?
The loan, we're set to close tomorrow. That's the resolution you have. But then the 120, we'll do that budget amendment on the next one, on the next meeting.
Do you need it today then for tomorrow?
Yeah, the first part of it, yes, sir.
I think we may have to make one change to that resolution though, right? Because the resolution shows the full amount. Does it not?
No, it says the 883.
Oh, it says shall not exceed
Yeah.
883.
Yep.
If FMB's okay with it.
I think we just need a consensus to move it to action now.
So too.
I think so too.
All 5 commissioners go with moving it to action.
Yes.
We're good.
I'm nodding, okay. Yep.
All right. Next up is the performance evaluation tools for the manager, and this is, I'll make the presentation on this. I'll try to keep it short and narrow because obviously we won't take action today because we want to get Wayne involved when he gets seated as well. Do you have those copies? Yeah. The Commissioners Association helped me with this a little bit. We just took 2 simple examples. I mean, we don't have to go by any or all, or we can take a combination, but I think what it does is it just gives some examples of what other counties do, and being able to set at least standards of kind of the things that what we're looking for in the performance of the way that our county manager, will be operating our government. And I know this is the first time y'all have went over it. And I'm not asking for in-depth whatever on what we actually would put into it, but I ask that you take some time and read through it, and then when Wayne gets he gets an opportunity to look through it, then we can actually go in and make do it how we want to do it. My only suggestion would be is probably only keep it down to 4 or 5 areas that we can evaluate, at least for this evaluation. I think if you're going to do more than that, it's going to get so complex. And this goes into the next thing too a little bit, is on strategic planning. But we're kind of in a situation to where there's not a lot of foundation that we have here in Stokes County in our history, recent history at least, of gauging performance for anybody in the county, to be blunt. So it's a good start, just like with strategic planning will be a good start. But if you have any immediate questions or comments, you can speak. But that's what I'm asking that we need to do.
Are we looking to do this annually on the hire date? Is just the date we hired him, or is it how we?
I think, and we can get the manager's input too, is I think we run it just from, we don't run it from the hire date. I think we just set a time. Whatever way we want to do it, but I don't think that it shouldn't just be on the hire date, because he's already in the mix, and he's already been here a couple months. It seems like 6 months, but we got to make sure that we get our act together first, to where it's a document that makes sense and gives him an opportunity to maybe tilt to move it the way we want to move it. But that'll be part of the discussion, though, that we'll talk about that.
Sure. You mind if I jump in on that?
Yeah, go ahead.
I have a couple points. The first is, I mentioned to you last week that I was aware that ICMA had some products. As it turns out, the Wake County example you have here is the ICMA county manager's recommendation. So I think it's a good start point. On timing, I think it makes a lot of sense to tie it to a fiscal year in terms of gauging performance. But a lot of the things that we want to measure and account for with regard to performance over a fiscal year sometimes don't trickle in until the end of the summer. So it might work out that actually the hire date is a good time to be thinking about it.
Okay. Yeah. Just annually, basically.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the hire date will give you more time. If you do them all at one time, that's chaos.
Mm-hmm.
But the hire date, I would think, would be scattered out. You might have 1 month.
Oh, if we do them internally, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's all I got. Look good.
Anything, Ronnie?
No, it's like Jeff said, usually you're looking at the end of the fiscal year, but his hire date, where it came in after that, May would be the logical sequence that needed to be done.
Anything, Commissioner Morris? Yeah? I'm good. Okay, we'll go to the next item, which is the strategic planning, and this will be quick. I would just like to us, because it's rapidly coming in, getting ready to go into the new year, and I know our schedules are between all of us, and including the manager and then department heads. It gets very complicated trying to get everybody together. But if we can start thinking about some dates, and kind of how many days we want for the strategic planning, I think it needs to be, probably 2 days, maybe, or a day and a half, but that's something we can talk about. It's going to be basic on the planning phase, because again, this is our first one. We tried to do it last year, and the Commissioners Association, they made a good point. You don't even know your financials. I mean, you're trying to do and so we did the financials instead, and I think it did help us. It did help us, but now we've got to go to that next baby step, but we've got to start locking down the planning. And again, we got to get Wayne involved to get when his dates, to when it's. But I just want everyone to put it on the top of their mind that we've got to get this done, and probably sometime in January, hopefully. And then I just want to throw this recommendation out and for y'all to think about. I think it's very important for the department heads to be involved in this. And I also think it's important that we invite Dr. Rice from the school board to be involved in this, because we didn't get approved for the grant that we put in for, but the school needs have not went away, and I'm not hearing a lot of any kind of proactive planning that's coming from the school board on what we plan to do with our schools. So hopefully we can set a date, and then of course get him to where he can appear also, and give him time to formulate whatever response that they have, because it's to me that is a very important item that needs to be addressed. It doesn't need to be put off. You have anything that you want to add, Jeff?
No, I think you captured it all. Yeah.
Okay. Anybody?
Talking about doing this in January,
I mean,
possibly.
I would like to, yeah.
And we do need to figure out some dates ahead of time.
More than one day. I don't know. I mean, I'll defer. Yeah, I defer to him. But
It's gonna take two.
I think it would be smart to schedule 2 days, and if we wind up getting through the agenda in one, we can always just not show up the second one.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Is there? So
I mean, that would be fine to do 2 days. I just need, to know
quickly. Okay.
our calendar.
You let
Since I'm the only working member of this board.
I wasn't gonna point that out.
In consideration of that, could you tell us what days you're available early in January, and then we can float some possible solutions to everybody else?
If I email Amber
We
some
wanna do the
dates.
campaigns again. Campaigns.
Yeah.
Well, that's something we're going to have to figure out. I'd mentioned to Jeff that maybe Forsyth Tech, if they're not in session, we could go out there and use their facility. They got a lot of space and technology that we'd be able to use.
Mm-hmm.
That's good too, yeah.
Yeah,
That's a good idea.
I'll get with her and see. Usually Mondays and Tuesdays are good.
Okay.
We stay away from our meeting days.
That narrows it down pretty good.
Yeah, I know, right?
If no one else has any more comments, I'm going to go to Commissioner Mendenhall with the Forsyth Tech Board of Trustees Commissioner appointment update.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The appointment process for the Forsyth Tech Board of Trustees has changed. I've been the legislature. See Representative Hall here, so if he wants to kick in anything other than what I tell you, he's welcome to jump in. It's changed. It was changed in the last session, And there was a set process where the governor was able to do some appointments, boards of education, boards of commissioners, etc., to nominate and appoint who's on the Forsyth Tech Board of Trustees. The Forsyth Tech Board of Trustees consists of 14 people. There are 14 people on the Forsyth Tech Board of Trustees. When I went on, this is my 7th year on the Forsyth Tech Board of Trustees. As soon as I came on the board, I was assigned, basically everybody wanted me, since I'd been superintendent, to serve on that board. But last session of the legislature, changes were made. The House and the Senate now they've worked out a new formula of how and who is responsible for appointing the trustees. It's changed tremendously. The governor no longer has any authority to appoint anyone to any community college board of trustees in North Carolina. That was done away with. The House, Kyle, and if I speak wrongly, correct me. I think the House will have the opportunity to appoint four people to all community college board of trustees, and the Senate will have the opportunity to appoint 4, which is 8. The home county of the community college, which was Forsyth Tech. Forsyth is the home county. So the home county's board of commissioners have an opportunity to appoint 4, which gives you 12. And then the adjoining county to that community college, which is Stokes, will get 2. That's your 14. And when I came on board, the policy was for Stokes County, our 2 appointees, one had to be a county commissioner, and one had the commissioners would appoint someone. Right now, Kim Greenwood, who is the town manager of Blunt Cove, is our 2nd appointee. I'm the commissioner representative. However, as I'm going off of the county commissioner board, this is my last meeting. I prepared a statement of resignation from the Forsyth Tech Board of Trustees as the county commissioner representative. Wayne will be coming in, sworn in next week, then y'all can proceed from there. I would say this, I talked to Don Martin Thursday night at a meeting, who is in Forsyth County, and he was talking to me for just a second about it, but what I have just written up, I've not typed it or anything, but Amber, if you want to type it up, make it look official and everything, that's fine. Just basically says to the Stokes County Commissioners and the Forsyth Tech Board of Trustees, due to this being my last meeting and my 2nd term as County Commissioner, with the acknowledgement that I did not run for re-election and will not be on the County Commissioner Board after December 1st, 2024, I am resigning from the Forsyth Tech Board of Trustees effective immediately on this, the 25th day of November 2024. It was an honor to have served the past 7 years on this board. Ronnie Mendenhall. And with the new new appointment process. I've talked to Kyle in all transparency, and he said that if I wanted to go back on the Forsyth Tech Board of Trustees, that I could, he sent me, he had his assistant send me a nomination form, and I could be nominated through the House as a third member from Stokes County. Up to the House. I mean, it would be up to the House to make that appointment. It wouldn't be automatic. The House would make a decision.
Could you not be appointed as the second one, not as a commissioner? Could you? Because we gotta have two, a commissioner and then the other one's from the public.
It is 4 from the House and 4 from the Senate, correct? Okay. And then, I mean, I could, but then you would lose Kim Greenwood.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? Kim is our second right now.
Okay.
But if I was nominated through the House and they take a vote, I'm not sure, Kyle, how, do you know how that process would work? If I sent you a nomination for a House appointment to Forsyth Tech, would y'all vote on it, or how would y'all work out? Part of a nomination. Okay. So that's, I think I need to go ahead and resign. And then y'all, this is my last meeting, then when Wayne gets on, y'all can make a decision on which county commissioner wants to.
Does it have to be a county commissioner, or it can be our designee or our appointee, is the question.
That's changed or not?
Because if it's our appointee or our designee and we could designate you,
Right, but
it would be in lieu of a commissioner. I don't know, and then it wouldn't have to go through the House.
one thing is, I've asked Amber, I know I've worried her to death the last week, because I've called her 4 or 5 times on this, because I didn't want to turn in my resignation if, but in parlay and talking, I think that's the best thing to do. But I've asked Amber to contact Dr. Spriggs. See, when I went on, Gary Green was the president, Dr. Green. He was president for Forsyth Tech. And then when Gary retired, Janet Spriggs was named as president. And the situation is now is I asked Amber to contact Forsyth Tech and get a ruling on the count 2 from Stokes County. And Amber, you said they have not reached back to you yet, is that correct?
Yeah, I reached out a couple times. I hadn't heard back yet, so as soon as I do, I can let everybody know. But I hadn't had confirmation on that yet.
So what I have is a letter of resignation at this point, and I really don't know what else to do, and because Amber's been unable to get up with either Sarah Singleton, who is Dr. Spriggs' administrative assistant, or Dr. Spriggs. Is that correct? You haven't been able to get in contact with either one of them.
Correct, and I'll keep trying. It may just be with everything going on with the holidays and such.
So I'm just thinking I need to go ahead and turn in my resignation. That gives y'all flexibility, and then if Amber finds out something different with the ruling and y'all want to go in and
Right. We know where you are.
always call me back.
That's right.
My wife is looking at me probably saying, I see her laughing now, she's probably saying, I thought you was coming all the way out, but she's not saying anything, that's good.
She will later.
I'll tell you what I'm gonna do, Amber, I'm gonna leave this with you, and you pursue it with Jeff and Brad, and y'all can let me know. That's that. guess you would probably need to move that to action.
Yeah, that's just what I was gonna ask. Can you add that to the list, Amber, so that should have a total of 3, right, in action?
Yes, sir.
All right, so let's move to action. Let's start with the fire commission request. Is this with the fire truck, or?
It is, and I think Jennifer wanted to say.
Okay, all
That's
right.
right. We had put this off previously due to us as legal needing to look into some of the terminology that was being used on this. So when we received the letter with purchase price of the apparatus, there were 2 attachments from 2 separate financial entities. One of them looked to us on its face like it was a lease, not a lease purchase. So we wanted to reach out and make sure that we got like a template of what that agreement was going to look like, so we could determine that if that financial institution was chosen, that it would be a lease purchase and they would own the apparatus and not have to turn it back in at the end of it. So we have been able to confirm that. They were very responsive. So legal is good with proceeding if the board wants to proceed.
The original form that was presented.
Correct.
Did they change the terminology to lease purchase?
They didn't change the terminology on their letter, because what it was is a letter, it just had different lease terms. But they provided me with a template of what the agreement would look like, and it was clearly a lease purchase.
Okay.
So I was satisfied with the format and the sufficiency on that. So.
Can I get a motion to
Make a motion, we approve.
Second.
any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. And then the next one,
Resolution approving the financing terms.
can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve the financing terms.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
And then the last one is the Forsyth Tech Board of Trustees, Commissioner Mendenhall's resignation.
Would you like to make that motion, Ronnie?
Motion that the board accepts my resignation. Take board of trustees.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. At this time, I would like to do just a quick 5-minute adjournment, and then we're going to go to the last item, which is the recognition of outgoing Commissioner Mendenhall. And I just want to make sure we get everything.
It's just a 5-minute recess.
Yeah, 5-minute recess. All right.
sidebar over here.
Okay, we're back in session at 4:33, and we're going to kind of get to the main event today, and that's the recognition of outgoing Commissioner Mendenhall. And I think there's several things in play that we're going to do, but I just want to start off by presenting on behalf of the Board of Commissioners a plaque to you. If you'll just maybe come over here, and I'll just read it real quick. Presented to Ronnie Mendenhall, appreciation and recognition for the dedicated service and commitment to Stokes County from 2016 till 2024. Well done, well deserved. And what we're going to do is we're going to proceed on. I think we have a very important person next that is going to make a presentation. But before we do that, can you just come around and pretend like you're a private citizen now? Come around to the front of me, stand in front of us, and if Amber will get a picture of us all.
There we go.
In a group photo.
Thank you. Thank you for everything.
No, you're just blocking Keith. You're okay. You're fine.
We tried to get Trump and he wouldn't come.
Okay.
I just want to say thanks. These 8 years have been very worthwhile to me to serve the people of Stokes County, to be a part of the many different board members that I've served with, and to all the employees, thank you for the work you do. It won't be forgotten, I promise you. And this, I've been blessed. I've been blessed in a lot of ways. My wife kids me. I got the Cardinal Award from Governor McCrory presented to me in May of 2016. Now, I'm proudly hang this. She tells everybody, she says the whole wall in the living room has my accolades, and she doesn't have anything up on the wall. She says, well, honey, I'm going to buy you something.
Yeah, but she has a checkbook too.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
At this time, I would like to ask our State Representative Kyle Hall if he would come up and if he would like to have anything to say about Commissioner Mendenhall.
How much time we got? I was coordinating with Amber. This is literally hot off the presses. I was coordinating with Amber. I said I might be a little late, but then they told me that Ronnie was speaking in his public comment. He spoke for about an hour, so I realized I had plenty of time back here, and I learned a whole lot about what's going on with Stokes County. But it is a pleasure to be here to recognize Commissioner Mendenhall. He and I campaigned together in 2016, stood at the Walnut Cove early voting site, I think just about every day. And Ronnie was a good person to campaign next to at Walnut Cove because I feel like he knew everybody, probably taught everybody. And of course, he's got a distinguished career not only as a county commissioner, but also as a teacher, coach, principal, and superintendent serving the state of North Carolina. And so it's late getting here, but it just made it just in time. But Roddy, we are presenting you today with the Order of the Longleaf Pine Award. This is the award that is given by the Governor of North Carolina. It's the highest honor bestowed by the Governor of North Carolina. Their recipients have included people like Billy Graham, Andy Griffith, Michael Jordan. Unfortunately, Coach K got one, but he made up for it and gave it to Dean Smith too. The governor makes a lot of mistakes. Sometimes he does good. But Roddy, if you want to come down here, I'll read this proclamation to you. State of North Carolina, Roy Cooper, Governor, reposing special confidence in the integrity, leaning, and seal of James Ronald Mendenhall. I didn't realize that was your full name, by the way. I do by these presents confer the Order of the Longleaf Pine with the rank of Ambassador Extraordinary, privileged to enjoy fully all rights granted to members of this exalted order, among which is a special privilege to propose the following North Carolina toast and select company anywhere in the free world. Here's to the land of the longleaf pine, the summer land where the sun does shine, where the weak grow strong and the strong grow great. Here's to down home, the old North State. Signed, Roy Cooper, Governor, November the 25th, 2024. Congratulations.
Can you get one more? Can Amber get a shot of you guys too? Thank you.
I don't know what to say.
I can't believe that, Ronnie.
Well, Kyle did sort of spark me right there when he said, he heard I was making comments, and I'd probably be an hour or so. I just will say this. I don't know if I deserve this, but Kyle knows that I go way back, and I probably did. He did know that I knew, just about everybody in Stokes County. When we campaigned together in 2016, I was introducing people to Kyle in Waco because I did know just virtually everybody in that area. But I tell you, something. Most of you, and I say this in somber, Kyle lost his mother. I don't know if y'all know that recently. His mother passed away. And her maiden name was Gordon, Janet. And Janet had a twin sister, Jane Gordon. And Kyle's dad is George Hall. George Hall, Janet Gordon, Jane Gordon, and I all graduated together from South Stokes High School in 1974. His dad, his mother, and his aunt. And I all walked across the stage of South Stokes together in 1974. So I've known this family for a long time. Take me anywhere. Randy gets so mad when we go out to eat. It doesn't matter if it's King, because back in 1974, King went to South Stokes, so West Stokes High School. Then when we go to the northern end of the county, I was principal at North Stokes High School, Nancy Reynolds and Sandy Ridge, so I know everybody over there. So she's got to where she doesn't like to go out and eat with me because everybody comes up and talks to me. But I can carry on the conversation, Brad. Brad gives me a hard time. Sonia worked with me on the Board of Education for years. And she actually cuts my wife's hair. I think my wife set up an appointment while I was sitting up there before. So there's the money out the door. McCrory's Cardinal Award. With this being the highest award received, I just don't know what to say.
Better call Frank Duncan.
That's our next call. Everybody, thank y'all for this support. Appreciate you. Thank y'all.
Mr. Fox, I know you had mentioned.
Well, I was just gonna say, Ronnie just talked about us serving together when he was superintendent. I was on the Board of Education, but we go much further back than that. And I know he was the assistant principal when my husband got his first teaching job at Southeastern, and that had to be around 95 or 96, I think. So we have a long history, and I've got a lot of respect for Ronnie and the job that he's done and his dedication to this county. I mean, I think it goes unmatched. So I think he's very worthy of that award, Kyle. I think that's very good for him to be able to receive that today on his last day as a commissioner, but maybe not his last day as a public servant. So we'll see what the future holds, and I wish you luck, and I know whatever role you have next you'll put your whole heart into it, and you'll serve again in some capacity, I feel sure. So we'll see what happens next.
Thank you, son.
Good luck.
Thank you.
If there's not any other comments or anything, then I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I got one. I'd like to congratulate you on all the great service you've done, and I think probably me and maybe one other person, I can't remember who, are the only ones who were campaigning with you when your pants legs caught on fire.
Thank you.
Luckily, that turned out to be we had a good outcome on that.
Yes, it did happen.
It was a little bit of a
It was
close
sort
call.
of a cold day, and somebody had a fire going, and I got too close, and my pants caught on fire. Oh, were you down there that day?
I'll remember that.
Yeah.
I put it
Rick
out.
was there.
Yeah, I put it out, I believe.
Yeah. I thought maybe Kyle. There was a lot of swatting. I tell you.
A little nervous moment at first.
Yeah, I was a little nervous right there. Yeah. I do remember that, though. I appreciate your help on putting that.
I was trying to stay warm.
Thank you.
Adjourn?
I think he should do it.
Make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion